Rap.
It's a mad dash to the end, of course.
As Gons cues the fist pump music.
Oh, we're always fist pumping here. Yeah. Look at Christian over here. He's ready for the shore. They got the Jers Ashore-a-thon, or whatever they call it, all weekend long. It's for all the young kids out there to hope for a better future, acting like the guys from the Jersey Shore. No.
Snooki's pregnant. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, enough said. Enough said. All right, well, let's get back into this. I know we had somebody who wanted to do some trivia. Kadoma, before we get back into the other side of the bracket,
get your smartphone ready.
Now you brought a couple of things we might see, and we have seen on the court, as Andrew brought up here. So we have somebody in the audience who would like to try to win some Rockets tickets, and we're going to let him answer a trivia question.
Okay.
And then we'll tell you about these sneakers.
That sounds fair. Why don't we make the trivia question somewhat about the sneakers?
There you go, right there.
Okay.
There you go.
So here he comes. Come on up, sir. Let's get your name and where you're from.
Absolutely. Just come right around here. You
Okay.
can sit right there in that chair, right there, and you're good to go. All right.
Okay.
First and foremost, introduce yourself to the good people here at Dave & Buster's.
My name is Donald McGowan, Houston, Texas.
All right, Mr. McGowan. Now, are you a basketball fan? You stay up to date with the March Madness? Okay, all right. Well, these are March Madness-inspired Jordan brand sneakers here on the table, and Kadoma does the H-Town Sneakers Summit twice a year. We're going to be announcing the date real soon, so you got to stay tuned to htownsneakersummit.com. But he's going to ask you a question about, if not both of these sneakers, maybe one of them.
Okay, we have two sneakers on the table tonight. There are three in the pack, but this is the Jordan brand March Madness pack. It features three sneakers from their three signature athletes, being Chris Paul and Dwayne Wade, who we have on the table tonight. Carmelo Anthony's shoe, the M8, is not here on the table, but we are fortunate enough to have the Chris Paul and the Dwayne Wade. The trivia question is,
I know where you're going with this.
Can you tell me which school either player went to? Can you tell me which college Chris Paul or Dwayne Wade went to? And you have the color. You have the colors right there. Chris Paul is the black and gold, and Dwayne Wade is the maize and navy.
God's gonna give you some theme music here.
Okay, hold on.
He's gonna give you. He's gonna put you on the clock here. So we're giving you a couple extra minutes to think about it.
So neither one of the players won a title. Carmelo Anthony's, whose shoe
Dwayne Wade got pretty close.
Yes, Dwayne Wade got pretty close, but he went up against Carmelo Anthony, who actually pulled the title away from him in his Syracuse sneaker, which is the M8, not seen on the table here tonight, which is blue and orange.
Yes.
Same colors as the New York Knicks. What a coincidence.
Go figure. All right, so what college did Chris Paul or Dwayne Wade go to? All right, that music's...
I might be able to give him one more hint.
Would you like
one more hint?
You want to phone a friend?
Chris Paul went to the same college as Tim Duncan, one of Soccer Talk Luis' favorite players.
Ooh. Come on, Mr. McGowan, you're on the clock. Are these guys with you right here? Hey, you guys with them? Mr. McGowan, are they with you? You can ask the audience. Wake Forest is correct.
Wake Forest is correct.
Wait. Which player? Which one of these is Wake Forest's colors? Oh, I'm sorry. That is Marquette, where Dwayne Wade went. This is Wake Forest. We're going to give him the tickets anyway for being a great sport. Mr. McGowan, thank you very much. Give him a flyer for Sport Trap Live so he can tune in. Oh, you want the Jays? No, I'm sorry. We're not giving away the Jays tonight.
You can find the Jays at House of Hoops North Line, right there off of I-45 and Cross Timbers. They were so kind to let us display these here tonight. But I can tell you a little something more about the shoes. Chris Paul's shoes uses a brand new Podulon technology. kind of a cross between the Lunar Lawn foam and the podular system we've been seeing in a lot of recent signature Air Jordans. And then Dwayne Wade's shoe, the yellow one there, the Marquette colors, it is a shoe that is boasts to be the lightest weight Jordan shoe available. It has hyperfused construction on the upper that offers ultra lightweight support and an edge-to-edge Lunar Lawn, very lightweight midsole on the bottom. And also, if you could show them the bottom of that sneaker, Adam, it features flex grooves in the forefoot to enhance a range of motion. So these are designed for Jordan Brand's top players, but you will be seeing these out on the court during some of that March Madness as we dwindle down to the Final Four in New Orleans, where we will be broadcasting live from Radio Row.
Yes, now, Andrew, you said you've already seen a pair of these on the court, and what happened?
I can't remember which kid was wearing them, but he had worn them, and they had already broken down on him in like halftime in whatever game he was playing. I want to say it was maybe in the Long Beach State game last night.
Which are similar to these colors here.
Yeah, I can't remember who was wearing them. It might have been Casper Ware, but
blew him
yeah,
out. He was balling so hard.
Yeah.
Blew those Jays out. All right, so we already know Marquette is in the tournament. Georgia Tech, Wake Forest, are they still alive in the ACC?
No.
Okay.
No.
They need that Chris Paul and Tim Duncan to walk through that door.
Exactly.
All right, well, let's get back into it, Andrew. We've already looked at the West and the South. Now it's time to head east to Boston.
Yeah, the 1 seed there is Syracuse, who's the number 2 overall seed. They're going to face UNC Asheville. I don't think UNC Asheville has really wants anything with Syracuse. Kansas State, though, them versus Southern Miss, that'll be pretty interesting. I'd be very interested to see Kansas State play Syracuse in the second round, mostly because Kansas State has the sort of athleticism and the size to get on the boards to kind of give Syracuse problems. I think that the most dangerous team in this bracket, though, is easily Vanderbilt. You look at what they did today and what they've been doing lately with the amount of threes they can shoot. They can shoot over that Syracuse 2-3 zone. I think Denver versus Harvard is going to be an interesting matchup. I think they'll handle them. Wisconsin could also give a lot of problems for teams because the way they slow the pace down of the game and make it so few possessions, that could also give a lot of problems for Vanderbilt or if they play Syracuse eventually. I think it's going to be Vanderbilt versus Syracuse, and I think Vanderbilt could win that game. So I think it's gonna be really close.
We could see Vandy in the Final Four.
Well, Vandy, I mean, every year, well, not every year, but in recent memory, they've lost their first round game. It's almost like clockwork. They have a good regular season, then they lose in the first round, and everyone, kind of bemoans with Craig Stallings.
Give us a couple of surprise teams we could see. I mean, Vandy, of course, would be a big surprise, but a couple of other teams to look at.
In this side, you have Cincinnati versus Texas. I don't think either team's really going to do much. Florida State, I think Florida State could definitely be an underdog to get to the Final Four as well. Gonzaga, West Virginia, I don't think either of those teams is really built to go that far as offensively. Ohio State's good. I just think they're kind of breaking down right now. They're not hitting on all cylinders. I think if Buford is hitting his shots, yeah, maybe. But I think if we could potentially see a Florida State versus Vandy Elite Eight, I think that would be really exciting.
Florida State with a 3 seed. That's huge.
I mean, they're one of the few teams, I think, that in recent, last 20 years to have beaten Duke and North Carolina.
Yeah.
Both of them twice.
Yeah. On their way to ACC title.
I mean, it's impressive, yeah.
That's pretty huge. Let me ask Bun. Bun, did you watch any of that Florida State game today as they took the ACC title?
No, because I was still traveling back from Dallas. So I missed pretty much all the games today. I've just been trying to get down here and just talk about how proud I am of Lamar University. That's all I want to talk about.
Now, Lamar, where did Lamar end up?
16.
16? Are they
No,
in
16.
This? Oh, 16th seed.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, well, yeah, I was like, 16, wow.
Squeezed in there. So their first game is against Michigan State.
Good luck with that.
So, what do you mean good luck with that?
They're in the playing game. They're in the playing game against Vermont, and then the winner's going to play North Carolina.
Uh-oh.
Good luck with that.
I think we got that.
Yeah, well, they're a 3.5-point favorite over Vermont. So
I think we got that.
Then you face UNC.
We got Vermont.
Well, there was a lot of publicity that was made about the Pat Knight, how he basically threw all the seniors under the bus and then self-proclaimed was driving the bus, saying these kids were like the worst seniors he'd ever had. They had drug problems, alcohol problems. They were missing class. They were missing practices. And then and it wasn't like a team where they were like, oh my God, they were the worst team in the Southland, and they all of a sudden came back. They were like the second place team at that point and sort of rallied around and were able to make it to the NCAA tournament. I think it's pretty admirable to be able to get that turning around, but I'm not sure if they can win a game past Vermont.
I want to rewind a little bit. I know we touched on Missouri a little earlier in the show here on Sports Rap Live, but Bun, that's one team that he called me today and said, hey, this Missouri team, I'm really impressed. He's feeling the Missouri Tigers.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about this, when the season started. We talked about, especially in this Baylor division, because I've always been a big fan of Baylor. And I always knew that Missouri was going to be the thorn in their side. You know what I'm saying? So I have to give them their card. They're really playing good ball this year. I can't, just because my team isn't doing as good as I want them to do, the Bears could be playing better. You know what I'm saying? But that takes nothing away from what Missouri's been doing pretty much all season. They're playing great basketball over there.
The Bears show that they can beat anybody if they play their game. They knocked off Kansas. They dusted them off in the Big 12 tournament.
I think it's like Andrew said, they got to come to play. They don't come to every game ready to play. Some of them, they're phoning them in, you know what I'm saying? And they have to take this seriously. I think, to me, and I may be overstepping my bounds here, but I'm starting to feel like the men's basketball program is starting to take a little bit of its newfound prosperity for granted. Baylor is really big now on the national market, you know what I'm saying, in football, as well as men's and women's basketball, obviously. And I just think that these guys need to, step it up a little bit. They're obviously not playing to their full potential, you know what I'm saying? And I think that they could, as always, make a good run in this thing, but they got to come ready to play, because there are guys in these brackets that are ready to play lights out, huevos to the wall.
Perry Jones is not playing like a lottery pick. Not at all. That kid is soft. I wouldn't want him on my NBA team. I flat out wouldn't. He's not tough enough.
You've been calling him soft all year.
He's consistent.
Do you think he's soft?
He's consistent.
Do you think he's soft? I would not want him on my team, because he won't do the hard work to be a better player, to get better.
Well, I give you that much, you know what I'm saying? But, no, actually, I can't say anything to that. I think you got a point there, Andrew. Sometimes, some guys I can defend, but in this one, I think I'm going to let him make it. I may need to defend somebody else's.
I like the Missouri team. I'm not sure that they have the size to make it all the way to the championship, but I think they have the athleticism to run teams out of the gym, or to get a lead and put the pedal to the metal and run them out.
Yeah, I think if they get a lead on guys, I think if they get maybe a 7-8 point lead on most teams, it'll be hard for teams to come back on them. But if they got to fight back from like a 6, 7, 8 point deficit, I don't know, especially against some of these guys that have got these bigger men in the paint, it's going to be hard for them to penetrate.
Sure, you were talking about the 2 games they lost earlier this season. They were to Kansas State within the conference. Why? Because Kansas State is so good on the boards.
Absolutely.
So,
Andrew, a couple other teams in this bracket we were just talking about in the East. Texas,
I want nothing to do with Rick Barnes ever.
I know you don't. I know you do
That
not.
guy, I avoid him like the plague.
Now, Cincinnati, you think they'll run through Texas?
I think Yancey Gates has gotten it together to where he actually can give that team a little bit of, an extra oomph. I think Mick Cronin has done an incredible job since the fight against Xavier. They've actually hung tough. It's really going to depend on their three-point shooting. You look at the game against Syracuse that they won. It's because they shot the lights out of the ball. Then they turn around and play Louisville and shoot one of the worst games they've had all season. I think, though, that they're tough enough and have enough size to where they're going to beat Texas. I don't think that's going to be that big of a deal for them.
Now, you really didn't say much about Ohio State. Your thoughts on them?
I don't think Solinger looks right. There's something wrong with him. Like, he doesn't look like the same player when he came into the regular season. I think, though, that if that team gets Buford hitting outside shots, they're pretty much impossible to beat. Because Aaron Craft's a good player. They have a lot of extra good players in there. D'Anthony Thomas or Deshaun Thomas. But I'm not sure that team's really – I'm not sure they have what it takes to get over the top.
Well, I'll tell you who does have what it takes to get over the top. That is Sports Rap Live. You guys can hear us every Thursday and Sunday on Sports Talk 790. We are going to take a little hiatus because of all the March Madness. You can catch every game on Sports Talk 790 or iHeartRadio. So you have to catch us kind of in between. We're going to be back on a Wednesday next week once we dive into the tournament head first. And we're going to dive into this last bracket, which is the Midwest. So we have the West, the South, the East, and then the Midwest. And this one ends up in St. Louis, which is a great basketball town, of course, back in the day. And the number 1 seed coming out of this region of the bracket is the North Carolina Tar Heels.
Yeah, they lost today, but I'm not really worried about that. That Florida State team is going to give a lot of people problems. They have great length and great three-point shooting ability. And the other thing is they didn't play with Drew Henson. You have to factor that in. They didn't have any block shots in this game or the game before, and he's one of the best shot-blocking kids in the nation. So he adds a different element, and I wouldn't put a knock against him that they lost today's game. They played very well in spite of not having him. I think playing against Creighton potentially in the second round would be interesting. Doug McDermott is a kid we've talked about all season. I think he's one of the best players in the nation. Some of the other matchups within this, Cal versus South Florida, I can't believe either of these teams really got in. I thought South Florida was one of the worst resumes in the nation. Just because you have a decent record in the Big East doesn't mean you play teams to make you worthy of being there. I think Temple's a very good team. They haven't really done anything that's flashy to draw any sort of notoriety. Michigan versus Ohio, that's kind of interesting. Ohio was a similar 13 seed a couple seasons ago and knocked up a couple teams.
Let me ask Bun. Bun, you remember the old Temple days? John Chaney, Coach John Chaney,
God.
Mark Macon. Who else played for Temple? They had a point guard that ended up playing in the NBA as well back in the day. But that was one of these teams that year in, year out was always making the big dance.
I think B.J. Tyler played for Temple at one point, too.
Absolutely.
That's Port Arthur, Texas represented.
Yes.
Just throwing that out there.
Well, there's those teams that just bring back nostalgia. The Georgetown teams of the 80s, the Temple teams, the UMass teams back in the Calipari days.
UNLV,
of course, the running Rebs. And, they could easily go on a run as Andrew looks at the bracket. We did get an UNLV.
Of course, the Fab Five.
Oh, yes, Michigan.
Let's not get into that. Let's keep going.
What about this Michigan team? This is a Michigan team that got blown out by Ohio State. By who did they get blown out by yesterday?
Michigan?
Yeah. They lost yesterday. They were in the semifinals of the
it was either
Big
Michigan
Ten.
State or it was Ohio State because that's who played
Ohio
them.
State, yeah. They blew them out. Basically blew them out of the gym.
Well, Michigan, they shoot a lot of threes. So it's kind of one of those things where they live by the three, they die by the three. They could get hot. I could see them making a decent little run there and getting out of that little region that they have there. I'm not sure that they would get past North Carolina, but, I could see them going on a little run.
What about Kansas? Kansas is the 2 seed, and
Kansas,
they had a rough go at it, as always, about this time of the year.
I feel like Kansas is one of those teams that's built for the regular season, but I'm not so sure they're built for the postseason. Look how many games, Adam, they've lost in the first or second round. We talk about Northern Iowa. It's sort of countless amount of games that they've, had the potential. They're supposed to go far, and then they don't get there. So it's to be determined as to how much faith you want to have in them. I don't really have a lot of faith in that team, though. They have a lot of talent. I like Thomas Robinson, but I'm not sure, they sort of feel like they're jinxed. I like that Belmont team, that 3-14 matchup. I think Belmont can make a heck of a run. I think San Diego State is a pick-em versus NC State's interesting. I think a lot of people are going to pick NC State as an upset team, that 11 seed.
Well, and some thought they got jobbed in the ACC tournament.
Those refs were terrible in that game. There was a lot of controversy as to whether that was a push-off at the end of the game.
Offensive foul, yeah.
Yeah, at the end of the game with North Carolina. So I think NC State, though, is going to make a decent little run there. I could see them giving a lot of trouble. I could see them getting past Kansas. I really could. I think they're a decent team there.
And who do you see overall coming out of this?
Out of this one,
Well, you just said they could take out Kansas.
I think they can. I would probably put maybe NC State versus North Carolina and have another rematch.
Wow.
I think we could have that.
ACC rematch.
I think we could. I don't really think that Creighton, they're nice, but I don't think they have enough firepower. I think Alabama's too defensive. They don't have enough offense. Temple's nice. Cal, I don't really think they're going to make a decent run. Michigan, I can see Michigan giving North Carolina some trouble with the three-point shooting.
So did the Pac-12 only get 2 teams in?
Yeah.
Cal and Colorado?
Yeah,
Colorado
exactly.
ends up winning the tournament.
mean,
Hello, welcome to the Pac-12.
That's the luck of the draw.
You're going, yeah.
That's the luck of the draw right there.
Oh, yeah. Well, Andrew said it best earlier. That just shows you that a run-of-the-mill Big 12 team goes into the Pac-12 and all of a sudden looks like a conference champion. That's how deep the Big 12 is compared to the Pac-12.
Yeah, I'm probably going to have some sort of version of NC State versus North Carolina in the Elite Eight in this conference.
Coming out of that.
Yeah.
All right, so what do you got for us? So you got North Carolina coming out of that region. Let's run it over the big view. Let's see who we got going to New Orleans.
I think my Final Four, it's probably going to be starting back from the original one from the South, Kentucky, probably versus either Marquette or Missouri. I might have Marquette. I really like that Marquette team. It's tough, though. It's going to be probably either them or Missouri. On the other side, in the East, I'm probably going to have Vandy versus... It's probably going to be either Vandy or Florida State coming out of that. That's going to be probably my Elite Eight there.
Two teams that nobody would have picked in the middle of the season.
Well, they're hot. I mean, they're hot. They play good defense. They shoot the three well. And then the Midwest, I'm probably going to have North Carolina and NC State. So that's kind of my Elite Eight. From there, I'm probably going to have I'm going to have Kentucky winning it all. I'm going to have Kentucky versus Missouri, and then the other side, I'm going to have it might be Vandy versus North Carolina. And then I'm probably going to have North Carolina versus Kentucky.
A long way away.
That is a long ways away.
Who poses the biggest threat to Kentucky? To you, once we get down to like the Elite Eight and the Final Four,
To beat Kentucky, you have to have size, because Anthony
Obviously.
Davis is a monster. You have to box up. The other thing is that you have to be able to make threes. You look at the way they were beaten by Vanderbilt is they had someone who can make the threes from the outside and get hot and stay hot. It's tough to find teams that have that size and the 3-point ability. I'm not sure that most of these other teams do, though. It's tough to find someone in their side that can really do that. I think if they face Duke again, Duke could do it because Duke shoots enough threes.
Exactly.
Duke shoots enough threes to where they could do it, and they have enough size inside. I just don't think Duke is consistent enough to make it that far.
To have the opportunity to shoot those threes.
But if Duke makes it, you think Duke can take them?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I think that the last game is probably more indicative of where these two teams are, where North Carolina felt bad about the last second shot by Austin Rivers and came back looking for revenge and just blew them out the water. But you have to realize that if Duke, they're such a 3-point heavy team, that they're one of the teams that could shoot themselves into a game. So,
Bun, do you fill out a bracket on Monday morning?
Not yet. I'm trying to get me a paper now so I can fill it out.
All right, but that's something you do every year. You look forward to filling out your bracket.
Yeah, and I've never made it public. I think this will be my first year going public with my bracket. You know, throwing myself out there to criticism and scrutiny and whatnot. You know.
That's okay,
There's
man.
no money on it, so I can live with that.
it's all right. We already know Jay Nature's going to win it all because he's going to pick like, oh, I like blue versus red, you know?
No, mascots. He said mascots.
Oh, mascots. I'm
Who
sorry.
has the better mascot?
He's like a Billiken. I like a Billiken. Sounds
putting
evil.
Just letting it all on blue. Just putting your money on blue.
There it is right there. All right, well, we'll keep you guys informed on how our brackets are looking, and we'll keep you up to date on all that is March Madness on the Martinez Report. Andrew, thank you so much for your research, for your in-depth analysis. We're going to talk some NBA when we get back from this quick break. We still got some NFL nuggets to hit on, and then, of course, shout-out Sundays. First and foremost, shout-out to our 790 promo crew here in the building. Absolutely. Sarah, Conrad, appreciate y'all coming out.
Salute.
Making it look official. Yes. And thanks to David Busters. Thanks to the Rapp Pack who is in the building tonight. We're going to shout you guys out in just a little bit. But right now, we're going to take a break, catch our breath. We'll come back and get into some of this NBA talk. Keep it on the hard courts right here on Sports Rap Live.
Sports Rap Live.